How's everybody doing? We're just gonna give it time for at least somebody in the audience to get in here. Um, y'all know what today is about. It's about America's politics. Y'all know we had that debate a night ago. It was a real shit show. Um, Trump obviously was lying about a lot of the things. Biden obviously is not cognitively there to play the role of president of the United States. So it was just a shit show, and this is all prophecy. See, in the book of Esdras, it says that in the end times, indecision would come upon the leaders of the Gentiles, right? And fear upon the armies. You could see it clear as day that all the things prophesied in the Bible and the Apocrypha texts, no matter how much the Catholic Church wanted to remove these Apocrypha texts and pretend like they're not a part of the Bible and they're not an inspired word. And I've always got to say this for people that don't want to listen to the Apocrypha text, the Catholic Church has no right to decide what is inspired or not. You get what I'm saying? And you putting that responsibility on them and letting them have that responsibility over your life is you dropping the ball. That's you failing to show thyself approved because the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. Anyone who just blindly follows men, if you blindly follow me, you are hurting yourself. You don't need to blindly follow me. And I recommend anybody don't blindly follow me. Do your own research. We get people in the comments that come with their own interpretations, their own things. You know, some things are questionable. They come with, oh, as long as the blood of Christ and all that Christian nonsense. And you guys really got to recognize that in the Bible, all the judgments that happened to the Israelites are the statutes of God. So to think that if you're, you Christians and you people of the world that aren't the Jews, that aren't the real Jews, could escape that through the blood of Christ is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, that's what happens when you allow people like that book has nothing to do with you. It was written for the Israelites by the Israelites. And you guys, when you got a hold of it, you misinterpreted it, right? And you know they've added things like, oh, everybody wants to run to John 3:16 for God so loved the world. Everybody wants to run to that, but y'all forgot that God has a like a tri nature, a three-way nature. He's a preserver, a protector, and he can be a destroyer. And people don't understand that. So everybody wants this part of God that's all loving and accepting. But like in the case of Christianity, and particularly white Christians, when you talk about, you know, the rape and genocide and the papal bulls and them diverse us and all these edicts of the Catholic Church and all the sins of the Protestants and the slavery and the all, Catholics and all that, all their religions, the Mormons, all of them. When you talk about that, then they want to insult you. That's what goes down. They don't want to talk about their history and their actions. And another thing people will say is like Christians, that wasn't real Christianity. You know, raping, robbing, and stealing land, none of that was real Christianity. That's not real Christian dogma. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, look at the so-called Christian nations. I mean, the so-called Christian nations have the bloodiest history of any nation on all the nations on the planet. The Christian religion has the bloodiest history of all religion on the planet. And America, which is supposed to be this shining example of Christianity and, American exceptionalism and all that good stuff they taught you and filled your head with in school, that patriotism they filled your head with in school, is the worst one. I mean, where do you think the Nazis learned to genocide people and to do eugenics and to sterilize the mentally retarded and the young and the Jews? They learned it from America. That's what America had done to the Jews, the real Jews, the American Indians. But history is all presented to you in a way so you could feel comfortable sleeping at night while living in the land of promise because they can't tell you none of that stuff. And if they would tell you that, the world would end. Literally, right then and there. And I mean like this, like get on TV and say that the weather events and these natural disasters that just happened. What about the one Turkey just caught on fire? Turkey's been getting hammered since 2021 with natural disasters. They just had a record-breaking wildfire. Last year it was all earthquakes. America is the same thing. If they got on TV and told you that it's not climate change, it's not global warming, that's why they keep switching climate change, global warming. Remember global freezing? If anyone's old enough to remember I shouldn't be, but I research. So when they were talking about global freezing, that came before global warming, and now they just say climate change because they know when their blessing was over, and now it's time to either, bend the knee or get off the land or get out of existence, and that's the truth. When I say get out of existence, I mean like die, and that's the truth because there is no in between. There is no lukewarmness. That's why the scriptures are written like they are because God don't like lukewarm people. Just like you Christians, you're all lukewarm. None of drop of understanding in your damn brain, and then you would disassociate yourself from a religion that's responsible for colonizing most of the world. And that's just the truth. And people can't handle how harshly I speak. And I'm like, well, your history's worse. You know what I mean? Like they can't handle us talking about their history. And that's when the consternation comes on them and the stress and the dread. And then because people were commenting on my videos because I share them on Facebook a lot. A lot of you guys found this channel because of Facebook. Um, you'll see if you go to my channel, which I always forget this, but I will try to share it in the link and have it up there. If you go to my page, you'll see a lot of Gentiles coming, commenting just the dumbest stuff. Apparently, I share a lot of these links on Facebook, so they don't come here and to the channel and get those comments off. They do it on Facebook. If you guys are ever interested in reading what the Gentiles think, I mean, the comments are constantly and we know our black people, they love us. They love us here. We don't care about none of that stuff the Gentiles are talking about. We don't care about none of that nonsense, none of that blood of Christ nonsense. For the atheists, they know they're trying to say we came from monkeys. They can't even question or fathom where the monkey came from because that's not in their it's just not in their cognitive function or reasoning to fathom these things because it really it's the American education system. It's a sad thing, but it's the American education system. And for the rest of Gentiles globally, it's the global education system. I mean, when those countries from the three parts of the world came over to the fourth part, which is the Americas, if you're familiar with my content, you would know that. The fourth part in the book of Revelations is referring to the Americas. When they came here to the Americas, those nations over there all took history and culture and artifacts. That's why there's like the Sumerian tablets and the emerald tablets. That's why they don't know where they're found at. They know where they found them at. It's the Americas. They just classify all that information. They're not about to tell you they dug them things up in Ohio and in the Indian Mountains because all the stuff you do know about them finding in America, like the New York Holy Stones and the Michigan relics and stuff, and that story about G.E. Kincaid and the Arizona Gazette and the Grand Canyon, all that stuff would be now credible if they told you where they found these other artifacts at. But the fact that they're mummies that they claim they found in Egypt, right, have cocaine and nicotine in them, well, now you know where they found them at. They found them right in America, where cocaine and nicotine are native to. See, history is a series of deceptions, and it has to be worked like that. Because if they're not deceiving you, they are not doing their job as servants of Satan. And I know you might think, if you're just coming across this video, you might think I'm crazy. You might think I don't know what I'm talking about. You might think me racist. But hey, man, you could look into my history, and there is none of that crazy stuff. Like, there might have been some violent offenders in my history. Everyone has that. But we can't say that black people ever came together as a nation and racially discriminated against two whole continents and, colonized the land. Start telling these people, because this is the era where we stand in great boldness, like the wisdom of Solomon says. Like, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness in the face of such that have afflicted him and made no accounts of his labor. And when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, right? If you ever read the Wisdom of Solomon, it's a great book. Of course, that's why they were removed. A lot of Christians will say, well, the books were removed because they're not real. And I'm like, well, men did that, not God. Okay. Yeah. Happy Sabbath. Yeah, I'm back on. Yeah, I had I've been trying to do things and improving my other parts of my life, so I can't be always up on the YouTube thing. But I just think it's interesting. I'm seeing all these natural disasters and things like that. Yeah, I know. If you read, Hey, people are trying to say that we are racist, and I'm loving it, guys, because it's the era when the Bible when they had the scriptures, they used the Bible and what they could do and couldn't do according to what was written in those books to do all the stuff they wanted to us. They knew they were fulfilling prophecy. Their ancestors bragged about all that in the past. Now they're trying to hide all that information. They've changed the definitions of words to hide all this information. That's their job. Um, the Bible says that there's no truth in these people, and there really isn't. And it's very few of their people who actually can see this. And those might be the people God is inclined to, overlook their sins. You know? I'm not saying that he'll overlook any sins. I'm just saying, some of these Gentiles will get forgiveness or something akin to that. But the vast majority of them are going straight down to the shitter. And you know why? It's because they can't accept this information. That's God's real power. He takes the ability to understand his words away from you. And then you're lost. Once you can't have understanding, you're lost. And only humble people really get that through because they're allowed to, they'll hear other opinions. They'll listen to other things. They can hear the subtle promptings of the spirit that tell them the truth. And that works through your conscience too. But you let Europeans tell it there none of that stuff is real. The soul's not real. Do you know what they put out? All that science and that blasphemy against God that they push in schools. That's why the kids grow up heartless and soulless and like compassionless because they've cut God out the schools. Remember, for a long time in the American education system, the Bible was like the main literature that they all read. It's because they knew back then in those times, like 1800s, 1700s, earlier than that, early colonization days, pilgrim days, when they were calling themselves pilgrims because they made a pilgrimage to the Holy Land here, they were teaching the Bible like it was gold. And they were also using it to enslave Israel. They were talking about the curses of Deuteronomy. They were mentioning the curses of Deuteronomy to the slaves, saying, we can do this because you broke your covenant with God and he handed you over to us. Now, all that doctrine's gone. Now they only focus on certain parts of the New Testament. And they don't talk about the book of Isaiah. They won't even touch that, which the book of Isaiah is full of a bunch of relevant things that mention the destruction of Israel. And we're just going to go over some parts right here. Let me see here. Now, I'm just saying, all you Christians out there that be like, we're not racist. Well, it clearly says here in the Bible that you're going to run all to your own people and own land. So what does that mean? That means that all that stuff you talk is nonsense. That's what that means. That means you're all going to group up and get off this land. And no, they're always talking about a coming geomagnetic storm or a coming natural disaster that will shake the foundations of the earth. They know this because they know it's coming. I mean, they know they made God mad. They know the prophecies. They know everything. They're just trying to tell you that it's natural events or some kind of scientific phenomenon, like a pole shift or something like that. I'll tell you which poles are shifting. The Most High made his people the tail of society, and now we're going to be the head. And you guys who were the tail of society when we were the head are now going to be the tail again, and we're going to be the head of society again, and that's scriptural. But before this, a great judgment has to come of the wicked, and the Most High has to show you that He does exist, and He's going to show you through multiple ways: through the power over nature, through the power He'll give to His people. When you see Israel stand up as that exceeding army, and they all stand on their feet, no more being the two witnesses dead in the streets anymore. No more, valley of dry bones. No more of that. And this is why the fear is coming upon this nation. They know something's up. Look at the presidential election. Look at that nonsense they just tried to do. It was two grown men arguing like children on the stage. And they're both old ass men. Like people were like Trump. I'm like, bro, Trump, like what? He's old as shit. They're both old as shit. What? That's what you got to defend yourself. And I'm telling you, the Most High lets leaders be in charge of a nation according to what they deserve. Like if you love ignorance and arrogance, that's the leader they're going to put in charge of you, and he's going to do things according to what you wanted. You know what I mean? I didn't hear once in the debates the suffering of Israelites come up. I didn't hear the truth about whose land this is coming up. That's never in America's debates or none of their political talk. That's the least thing they worry about, and that's the most important thing to the people of North America, the original Aborigines in North America, and to the Most High God. Now look, I'm gonna read some more context from the book of Isaiah. Because this is how this is gonna go down. If you guys don't get with the program. And it just would have got to be at this point in time. We've been telling them this kind of stuff for years, for generations. I'm gonna do some big drop if you're still listening. Okay, one, what nation tried to ascend to heaven? It talks about going into space and traveling to the moon and getting past the firmament like it's not there. America. All right. Which nation ruled the world with an iron fist? America. Which nation was undefeatable in warfare? America. All right. Now, if you watch my channel, you know that America is the true old world, the Americas. You know, Babylon is up in Canada. If you watch UBTV's channel, which I all recommend you watch, UBTV's channel, um, the Lewis Babel Ecological Reserves is actually the remains of the Tower of Babel. And Acadia in Canada, come on. And it's all up there in between on the East Coast, a little bit of the America, the 50 states, a little bit of the 50 states in Canada. That's all Babylon, and this is known. This has been known. Um, but most people say like, "Well, I don't want to believe that, so I'm not going to. Therefore, it doesn't apply." Well, believe what you want. You guys have always believed what you want. You're the guys that want to be like, your own science proves that your genes are recessive, but you can't accept that and prove that your genes are recent mutations. But you want to claim to be these ancient people and all these ancient tribes and all the aborigines everywhere. Why can Europeans take over Australia? Now they're the Australians. They take over the Americas. Now they're the Americans. They go to Brazil. They're the Brazilians. You go to Mexico. They're the Mexicans. And there's always at all these spots they talk about, even Ireland, there's always an indigenous black group that's the Aborigines that originally had these titles. And then you figure out what's going on here. The so-called Caucasian race is like the Borg from Star Trek. Okay? They go to your land, and because most of the people there, because we're the original people of the planet, are dark skinned and melanated with what they call African features, they discriminated against them and they took up the earth. So why does it talk about like the Bible and Revelation talking about these horrible people coming to the fourth part of the earth and raping, robbing, and murdering? That also went over in the three parts of the earth. Didn't Spain fall first and the Moors fell in Spain, and then that's when they figured out how to get to the Americas, and Columbus was set to Americas after the Moors fell in Spain, right? Because that's how they get their information. They first they catch you. They do all kinds of crazy stuff to you, like torture you half to death. They get you to snitch on your brothers and give up your information you've been keeping secret, and then they will run down on your other brothers with that information. And that's what happened. And they also used a plenty of black people in colonization of America. They were using people as soldiers. Um, we know in King Philip's War and also the French War in the Americas, they claimed to have used Africans to fight for them, right? But most of them were indentures. We know in the Civil War, in the Revolutionary War, they had indentured servants fighting on both sides, right? So when it really goes down to this, yes, black people did help them run down on us. There's no way they were going to beat us by themselves. But that's why it says when the house of Israel doesn't vex each other, like Judah doesn't vex Ephraim, and Ephraim doesn't hate Judah, we would all be together in one understanding. And that's what's going on right now in this day. This is the only time the real Israelites could be gathered, because we have this global communication network. And right now, as we're on here, a lot of the Gentiles are still laughing at us. And, something deep in their heart is telling them, like, I hope this is not true. But man, you better hope and pray your whole life away, because it's definitely true. No one is lying to you here. I don't take people's comments down. You can see people are allowed to disagree with me. Okay, but we go to your channels and you taking people's comments down. You don't even have comments on your channel. You just make claims and you don't allow anybody to have an opinion to criticize it. See, but that's what you guys, you claim you're all inclusive and you claim you're all, if someone has a different opinion than you, then that's antichrist. Your Christ seems like the antichrist to me. Christ says that Europeans, white people in general, could take over whatever land they want and do all this slaughtering in the age of discovery and doing all this land reappropriation and resource stealing and all this killing and raping and robbing and murdering and all this horrible filthy stuff and have this bad past that we could just throw a spot on the map and be like, yep, Europeans came there, killed the Aborigines. We could hit a dart, bam, killed the Aborigines. We could do that. We could. People think I'm playing. We can literally do that. And then you guys think that has nothing to do with prophecy and that you're not going to pay for that. And I'm telling you, man, this nation is about to be KO'd off the face of the planet. And you know why? What you have done to the Aborigines of America. All right. And people go, well, what about good thing I don't live in America? Well, I hope you don't live in Europe either, because a lot of our people were sold in Europe by Columbus and the Spanish and the Portuguese. All right. Well, what do you think this black population everywhere comes from? It certainly didn't come from Africa. All right. Because it's a known thing that like places like Britain and other European nations was buying cargo slaves from Spain, and Spain was being supplied from the voyages of the Spanish, including Columbus. All right. Now, one dude got in my comments and said that Columbus was locked up when, yeah, he was locked up and he also was set free and had no charges against him. Okay. Okay. His orders came from the Catholic Church. It's like a president giving a pardon to one of the crooks he did business with. It's that happens all the time here, actually. People just don't realize it. People don't research anything. People don't want to know anything. People want to like watch fireworks go off with their kids. I'm like, one day those fireworks are going to be bombs going off because you guys don't listen to anything and you keep putting out this negative karma into the world. America keeps oppressing people with its military might, oppressing the world. You know what's found in America? The blood of healers like Dr. Scaby, the blood of prophets, right? The blood of good men, revelators. That's what's going to be found in America. The blood of the Israelites, the blood of innocent Gentiles. That's what's going to be found in America. And all you that have this pride about this nation are you just feed the fire. You don't even. That's why your kids are so fucked, because you won't even correct them. You won't correct your government. You don't correct past mistakes, and you don't self-reflect. If the Gentiles can't self-reflect on their actions and prophecy and figure this out, then that's on them. They're doomed. But that's like 27 minutes and 38 seconds. Shalom, family. I'm gonna let it go. Hey, I don't know what to tell them out here. It's the end, guys. You can see by the weather and the conditions going on, it's definitely the end. We know when we see all these signs, what do he say? Look up, because your salvation is near. Now they're talking about an alien invasion starting a space force. It's really time for you people to put it all together. There ain't no aliens. There's only the Most High. And outside this world we live on, whether you think it's a ball or not, is the other kingdoms of the Father. And everything outside this universe is in his control. So there are no space pirates coming to steal Earth's resources. Even though the government's going to try to convince you of that, they've been trying to convince you of that kind of thing with their movies and predictive programming. Look it up. Look up what predictive programming is. And yeah, but that's why the movie Independence Day was written, because they always knew that America was Mystery Babylon and its last fight would be a fight with God. And that's why the Bible says like the end will come as a destruction from the Almighty. Yeah, it will come as a destruction from the Almighty. It's going to be something like Independence Day and 2012 put together. But that's why they make these movies and put them out. And that's also why America has always had this UFO phenomenon, because an angel doesn't necessarily mean that you are some angelic ethereal being. There's different levels to that shit. You know? All right. Peace, people. Enjoy your Sabbath.